What's up, Through the Waves? Welcome back for an all new episode. We are super, super excited to have you. And for those of you who don't know who we are, you can follow us at Through the Waves Florida on Instagram. You can check out our website at throughthewaves.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Through the Waves. And today we have a super special guest. It's my cousin Heather.
Hi, guys.
And if you have seen our old podcast from 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's probably been that long now.
Heather was on a couple episodes. I remember a couple people thought it was like our podcast that we were doing together because she came on so many. I mean, we only had 4, but it was a good time. We talked about relationships. Mm-hmm. We talked about loneliness. Was there anything else that we hit back then?
I don't remember. It was so long ago.
It was a while ago. But Heather currently lives in California, and she is here visiting right now. She'll be here for probably another week or so. So I said, hey, do you want to hop on the podcast, relive old times? And here we are.
Here we are.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Heather. What do you do? Where do you live? I mean, I kind of told them where you live already. I didn't give them your address.
Let's not get that specific.
Yeah.
So my name is Heather, and I am currently working as a nurse in Los Angeles, California. So I have 2 ICU nursing jobs there that I work, and then also doing a little bit of wellness coaching on the side.
And tell them a little bit about wellness coaching and what that entails and what you do with that, because it's really amazing. I actually have been doing a couple sessions with her myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so wellness coaching, it's similar to therapy, but there's definitely big differences. So with a therapist, it's like they're diving in and they're really looking at your past traumas and stuff like that and really getting into that. Mm-hmm. Whereas coaching is a little bit more focused on the now and the future and stuff like that. And I have it on my website. I'm I need to pull up my website and then go more into detail. But yeah, so you're pretty much just asking people powerful questions to get them to come to their own realizations about things. And yeah, so it's a really neat process. Different things unfold and you'll think that you're going one way with it, and then it'll take it a little turn and you'll end up talking about something completely different, and it's cool.
That's cool.
It's cool to see it.
It's a different and unique way to help people in a way that they don't even realize that they need it.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
One of the things that I've been doing that helped me is positive affirmations. Heather actually mailed me sticky notes because I wasn't getting them myself. And what I did was I wrote affirmations on my mirror, like nice hair. Mine don't actually say that, but they say things along the lines like, you're enough, you can do this with the help of the Lord, things that fit you personally. And I think that's what's really cool about what she's doing, because it's unique to you and what you're going through.
Yeah, for sure.
And like you said, it's different than therapy because I feel like this is more focused on things you can do in the now, when therapy is more focused on getting through things that have hurt you.
Exactly. And also very goal oriented. And then I'll talk a little bit more about it in the later podcast as far as what my direction has been for coaching and where I've seen myself going and kind of the different things that have confirmed that I'm on the right path with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very proud of you.
Thanks. I'm proud of you too.
Oh, thanks.
Grandpa would be proud of us.
He would. And we should show everyone our tattoos. We both have Roger that on our arm.
Right here.
Can't see it. I don't know if you can see him, but that is for our grandpa, Roger. Mm-hmm. We weren't in the military. I wish I could have a cool story like that.
Right.
But our grandpa, he was a bad bleep. And he built his own airplane. He was a pilot, and he loved the Lord most importantly. And I think that he was really one of the biggest influences in both of our lives. And we're actually going to lunch tomorrow with one of his caretakers.
We are.
I'm
Shout
excited.
Out
Arlene, she's so awesome, man. She's part of the family.
Yeah. And another little side note about our tattoos. I always say Gramps is always still protecting us because people always think that I'm military, and obviously we're not.
Yeah.
So I'm yep, Gramps is still protecting us.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I mean, he was just amazing.
He was.
And I miss him all the time.
Did you tell him He built his own airplane?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had to make sure that was in there.
Definitely wasn't fully paying attention.
Yeah, and that took him like what, 5 years? I mean, to have the ambition to do that and to set that goal. I mean, I don't want to do things that take 5 minutes. So it's like something that is gonna, is gonna take you years to do, and you have the ambition to put it together and put the plan, and then like he was so ballsy to even fly that plane and test it out. I remember
Seriously.
my dad saying that he did like the first, what is it called? I don't even know what it's called, like first test fly or something.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we don't know if he's going to make it. And he
Seriously.
did. So I want those kinds of cojones.
Seriously.
I mean, we kind of have them from like swimming with sharks. And
Yeah, we've done some things.
yeah, we've done a few ballsy things.
Yeah, we probably get it from Grandpa to some
Yeah.
extent.
But Heather is my cousin, but we like to do the icebreaker. So we're still going to do it because I think that's one of the best parts about the podcast. And we threw out a couple ideas for the icebreaker. I think we're going to do a couple different things here.
Yeah.
She actually brought a couple folders for those of you who are listening. They're really random pictures that we drew, right?
Yep, it's pictures that Grandpa had that we drew, I guess, at his house or something. I don't really know.
If you want to go ahead and pull out your first folder, Heather, and kind of describe your artwork here. Who knew that we were artists? I mean, back in the day, we were like artists, we were rappers, we were we were announcers.
Everything.
Like we did aliens. Me and Heather were aliens at some point in our lives. Like we've done
Yeah.
it all.
We've done it all. Should we also pull out Karen's photos? I haven't looked at them yet.
Oh, Karen's might be a little X-rated. We never know what we're gonna find with Care Bear.
Well, here's your folder.
Okay. This is like a mystery folder. I'm kind of afraid to open mine.
Don't know what's in there.
Okay, so mine says Sarah Cochran. I don't know. Did your mom write this or grandpa wrote this?
I think you wrote it because this is definitely my handwriting.
Wow, look at that. I have fancy hand. If I did this,
You did that. I
this
can
is,
tell.
Like
That's yours.
really fancy. I don't even have a nice signature now. It's like scribble and I'm done. Wow, look at me. How old was I?
Who knows?
Like 12?
I guess my mom.
Wow. Apparently,
Let's see it.
I loved South Beach.
There's South Beach in all of its glory.
It's a palm tree with a crab. And it looks like a baby turtle and a sun. What's in
See
yours?
what I've got. I think they're matching.
Whoa.
We've got a palm tree, a crab, and a turtle, and mine says Hawaii Beach.
Wow, Hawaii. Okay, so why did I pick South Beach and why did you pick Hawaii? Was this like our dream destinations? Because if so, South Beach is not my dream. I would rather go to Hawaii.
By the way, Merry Christmas.
So wait, put your palm tree back up.
Palm
For
tree.
those of you that are listening on YouTube, and if you're not, you should go listen on YouTube because we need you to vote. Who has the better palm tree,
Ooh.
crab, and turtle?
Yeah, I like your colors better.
I mean, they're pretty even, I would say. The only thing is your tree trunk doesn't have color on it.
I know. Yeah, they look pretty
Our
doggone the
suns,
same.
I mean, our suns have the same color and everything. I think you just need to add some like mountains for Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
Or not mountains,
The
volcanoes.
volcanoes in the background.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. I have another one here.
All right. Let's
Um,
see it.
This is that like a bat? I don't. I'm confused.
I think it's a bird.
A bird. It looks
Bird
like
is
a
the
bird
word.
that got hit by a car and it just went like splat.
That's what happened.
Let's see yours. Your other one.
I've got some flowers.
Wow, so artistic.
Wow, Grandpa.
So beautiful. He would be so proud of us.
I want
All
to
right.
see your other one there.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Okay, this is hearts. Apparently, I was very like loving.
I was thinking that I should get made a skirt with that pattern on it.
Whoa, very, very fancy.
Yeah,
I'd say go for it. I like the colors and everything.
I like it too.
Who knew we were freaking artists?
Trendy. Should we take a peek at Karen's?
Yeah, just one sneak peek.
It's maybe a jellyfish.
I would say that's a jellyfish.
Oh, never mind. It's flowers in a vase.
Oh.
I was looking at
But
it.
this is the cool thing about her art is it could be more than one thing.
It could be more than one thing.
It's very pretty. I like the colors. Very abstract. Wow, who knew?
That's a cool sun. That is neato, Karen.
For those of you who are listening, not watching, you need to go to YouTube and watch this, and then you need to vote who has the better pictures.
Yeah. I'm kind of voting Karen's sun right now.
I like her
Very
vase because it could be like a dual jellyfish, or it could be flowers. It could, because you thought it was a jellyfish at first.
Maybe it's the next Through the Wave shirt.
Maybe. You never know. Very abstract.
Very abstract.
Who knew we were artists?
Yeah, we're artists from day one.
But the other icebreaker, I don't know why I like had a tongue tie there. The other icebreaker that I have for us is Heather and I, during COVID, we had a fake talk show. Would you call it a talk show?
Something like that.
And we were really bored during COVID. So I had a shark shirt and a fedora. And Heather had a shirt that said, "Ask me about my turkey sandwiches" on it. So we created Shark Sinatra.
Shark Sinatra, yeah.
So I think what we need to do is a little reenactment of Shark Sinatra for them, maybe like a minute clip to give the viewers a taste of what our talk show was back in the day.
Yeah, and where we started from.
Exactly. I mean, I think that is what got us ready for this, really.
Oh, for sure.
They don't even know. Okay, and to all of our British viewers that are listening, please don't be offended by our fake British accents. It's just, honestly, we're very jealous of you, and we think that you sound really cool, and if we mess up words, we're just having fun. And again, it's just out of jealousy.
We want your accents.
Yeah, for real. So, should we get to it?
You start.
Okay. Welcome to Shark Sinatra. And today we have Ask Me About My Turkey Sandwiches.
Hello, hello.
How is it going? How's life in LA? Like, what's new there? What's new with the boob tube and the celebrities and all the stuff going on in LA?
Life in LA, it's a little bit crazy right now, but it's a good kind of crazy, if you know what I mean.
Oh, it's like the cry in the valley, and you have all the valley gals, and
there's never a dull moment in LA.
What is the latest fashion? Like, what would you say is the very end thing that all the gals and all the guys are in a tissel about?
In a tissel about? Ooh, that's a good question. Let me think about that for just a moment.
Is it those lime green jackets? I feel like I see those lime green jackets all over Instagram.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Apparently, I'm not in style. I feel like I just go to work and then I hike on my days off, or like random drives to Malibu, or whatever the case may be. But definitely, I don't feel like it's changed much, surprisingly. Like, I feel like it's still those like the jackets, and then like the high-waisted pants. And they're lime green. Possibly. And then like the little flare with the pants.
Like the parachute pants.
Parachute pants are definitely in right now.
They're very like 90s. You know how they had the parachute like emo pants in the 90s with the little belts on the side?
Yeah.
I feel like they're very 90s, but they don't do the emo belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they skipped the emo belt part of it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like if you're going to go all for it, like you should go all in, bring the whole style
All
back.
in. Yeah, seriously. So that's that. What else is new in LA? Yeah, just naked people running around.
And I remember last time we were there, we saw a lot of homeless turds. Like, is that still a thing? Like the doo-doo on the streets, and it's not really from a dog. Like, is it from a human?
So you know what's interesting? Not so much. Actually, the homeless has calmed down a little bit.
Okay.
I need to get my accent back. There it is.
I feel like I've switched from like Irish to British and
I go in and
English. Yeah. And do you remember when we used to go to the mall and tell people that we were from England?
Oh, I remember. And you know what I saw at the Wellington Mall the other day?
What?
I saw a turd.
Was it
in the mall?
Was it a human turd?
That is not to be confirmed. I walked right by it and I warned the people who were about to step in it. I was like, there's a turd. You might want to not step in it.
That is alarming, Heather. I think LA is rubbing off on South Florida, and it's kind of scary.
It could be. But
Everyone watch out for the human turd in the Wellington Mall.
don't worry, they cleaned it.
Oh, okay. You know, side fact here. I used to work at Target back in the day, and when I worked there, we used to have an issue with people pooping in the store.
Did you really?
Yes, I remember one time it was so bad. I used to work in the fitting room, and I had to rehang all the clothes and put them back on the floor, and this person had doo-dooed in the fitting room. And they used a bathing suit to wipe their behind. I mean, come on, people. Like, there's toilet paper at the front of the store.
There's literally toilet paper. They could buy it or they could steal it, I guess. I highly recommend not stealing toilet paper.
I mean, even ask somebody like, hey, I have to doo-doo in the bathroom. Do you have toilet paper that I can borrow?
Yeah, I'm surprised that you've never told me that story before because...
I'm really surprised I have not either.
Yeah, because we both worked at Target.
Yeah, that's true. You worked at Starbucks. The Starbucks.
The Starbucks.
Oh, last thing. I went to Starbucks in London when I was actually there in the airport. They had one Starbucks in the airport, and me and JR were so excited. We were so tickled. Like, oh my God, I can have a pumpkin spice latte in England.
That's so exciting. And speaking of another thing of LA, obviously the food is still really, really good out there. Food out in LA is amazing. So that warrants for you and JR to come out, take a trip to LA, have some Korean barbecue.
And we need to go to Nobu's.
And Nobu. And yeah, definitely Nobu. And then also Pasta Sisters.
Oh, yes. We saw Pasta Sisters on, I think, that Triple DD show.
Mm-hmm. And then you told me to go, and I got it, and it was delicious.
And now you love it.
Love
and
it.
we still haven't gone. Wow. Well, thank you, asking me about my turkey sandwiches, for coming on today and sharing all the new Up and Up with LA. It's been such a great time.
It's been a great time, Shock Sinatra. Always is.
Join you next time on Shock Sinatra. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Okay.
Back to it.
Back to reality, guys. So there's our icebreaker. How did we do?
I think we did good.
And again, please, to like all of our British friends, don't be offended. Like, we are very, very jealous of you. And I learned ciao in Italy. It means bye.
Good job.
Yeah, it was good. And then like when we left Italy too, grazie means thank you. So we were on a British Airways flight, and the guy was British, and I hit him with a grazie because I was so used to saying it from being in Italy. And he hits me with a prego, which means thank you, or not thank you, it means you're welcome. I'm like, you're not even Italian. How did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm like, I expected like you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, should we start being seriously serious?
We should start being seriously serious and actually get to what we came on here to do. So today we are going to be talking about the waves of direction. I mean, I think all of us have the waves of direction in life because there's a season for everything that we go through. Sure. And before we dive in, I always like to do this before we jump on, but I forgot. I want to say a little prayer because I think it's good to just kind of let God speak through us, all fun aside.
Yeah.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for just this time and this opportunity to be a little bit silly, but also use that to share your word and just show people that life isn't about being serious. Life is about having a relationship with you and fulfilling your purpose, Lord, and just help us to share your love with others and say what you want us to say on this podcast today. And we thank you so much for everything, Lord, and may this bless somebody and help somebody in this world. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So back to direction. Heather, what do you feel like, or do you feel like you have faced any sort of waves of direction recently in your life or that you're currently dealing with?
Definitely. So I think like the biggest waves of direction would be clarity in questioning God, right? So it's like sometimes we feel like things are clear as day, and then other times it's like, well, did I really hear God right? Like,
yeah.
And you question yourself and you kind of go back and forth. So like, I guess for that. So with the clarity part, I felt, oh gosh, it's gonna fall. Okay, get it before it falls.
I shouldn't have this Coke Zero on here.
It gave it away. Okay. So when I'm pretty sure I definitely told you the story of what made me actually decide to move to LA.
Probably, but go ahead and share it with everyone.
So me and Melissa is our other cousin.
Yes, by DNA, not by DNA.
Yeah. But so Mel is our other cousin, and me and her, we were at Anthropology in downtown West Palm Beach, and we were just walking, and I was looking at all the things, and I was like, I cannot wait for the day that I can decorate my own place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I do remember this now.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay, if I get the job at this new hospital, I'm going to keep that private just so not everybody knows exactly where I work. But I was like, if I get this job, then I think it's time that I finally move out and get my own place in LA. And then I said, it's in God's hands from here. We literally walked out of the store and the Dream song by Fleetwood Mac, but like just a different version of it, was playing. And we walk out, we go into the parking garage, literally, and think about it, parking garages normally have terrible service, but I had service, it was clear as day, and I got the job offer literally within 5 minutes of me saying that.
Yeah.
So I looked at Mel and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm moving to LA. And then that was like, boom, my decision. And then from there, it was like, it did end up getting kind of hard because the apartment market at that time was insane.
Yeah, because that was like in the middle of COVID, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like when things were just starting to open back up again. So that happened in around May of 2021. Mm-hmm. And so things were starting to open up again, and then apartments were just ridiculously overpriced to where it was like, I'm not paying for that for that. And so I kind of waited, hoping they'd come down. Finally ended up signing a lease on one apartment.
I remember this.
Yeah.
And you thought you loved it.
Thought I loved it because I saw the one on the 4th floor. And then, so I signed a lease on it. I was staying with this lady at her house with her son, and wasn't planning on being there that long, like just a couple weeks. And then I finally went into the apartment, like the one that was mine, and I was like, okay, this is dark and depressing, and I will be depressed if I live here. So I backed out of the lease. Thankfully, they allowed me to, and I lost like $200, and I'm like, that's well worth my mental health.
Yeah, and having to live in like a dark, creepy place.
And signing a lease for like, I think it was like 15 months or something. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's not like in 6 months you could move out and be like, I just don't like it here.
Exactly. So that was very defeating, right? Because it was like, okay, God, you kind of gave me the go with finally moving to LA. I haven't actually like decided on doing it for since 2019. So for 2 years, I was going back and forth and like never had my own place there. I was just staying in Airbnb or hotels when they did free hotels for nurses. So yeah, it was kind of like a big jump. And then it was like, all right, God, like now what? I remember that day, it was a Sunday, and I saw the apartment, and I was supposed to move in like that Tuesday or something that week. And I was like, now where do I go? What do I do? Mm-hmm. I'm back to literally square one.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a journey.
Yeah, and that can be discouraging in itself because you're in this city where, I mean, you're kind of familiar with it, but it's not home yet, and you're trying to make the move and take that leap of faith to move out there. And then it seems like what you have going on so far isn't like working out, you know?
Exactly. And I believe I had just moved my car out there. So it was like starting to feel a little bit more homey. And then it was like, okay, now you have nowhere. And now you have to ask this lady. Thanks, Lonnie, for letting me stay there for so long.
Shout out to her.
seriously.
You said
'cause
Lonnie?
Lonnie, yeah.
Oh, I remember Rosa, right?
Yeah, she's actually, so it's at Rose's house. It was
Okay.
just like upstairs. Lonnie was
Oh.
renting like the whole upstairs, so I rented a bedroom from her.
Shout out to Lonnie.
I know, seriously. She was a lifesaver.
Yeah.
She's like, yes, stay as long as you want. I was like, okay, because now it's going to take a long time.
And I think that's God too, like having that there because it's like, okay, the first one didn't work out, but he had a backup for you. And then so what happened after you realized like, darn, like I don't like this place and I don't want to live here.
Yeah, so at that point, I was like, okay, what are the things that you really like about LA? And because it's a love and hate relationship with LA.
Yeah. I
Love
feel like,
my job.
yeah.
Yeah, but the apartments that I was looking at like the newer ones, and they were all like, they all had a weird smell. And I was like, why does it have a weird smell in it? Like it smelled like the material that they were using just wasn't, I don't know, it was cheap, I guess. And so I was like, okay, I really like LA's old charm.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me start looking at old places because I hadn't at that point. And I was like, let me see what LA has to offer for that. So then I got in like this whirlwind of like just looking at all of these really, really, really cool old apartments that have like a lot of character and old charm, and they were beautiful. But a lot of the times there was like, it was always like laundry in the basement, and it was always
They were kind of creepy.
they were creepy. The ones that I looked at, because I don't
Yeah.
mind laundry in the basement. It's just don't be creepy.
Yeah. Like don't be a dark, creepy basement.
Yeah, and a lot of these basements were just like
Creepy.
some things have happened in those basements over the years.
I
Definitely.
had a basement growing up in Ohio, and I don't think I ever went down in that basement unless somebody was with me.
Yeah. So it was either that or there was like no parking nearby. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to walk too far from my apartment. And then my other non-negotiable was I need to be on the second floor as a female. So I searched and searched and searched and finally came across, it was literally, I was going to Florida for the holidays. And I came across this one, and I think it was only posted for like one day, and I was like, going to see it. And I went, I saw it, and I was like, I love it. And I signed the lease right away, but that was all the way in December. So
And you started looking in like August, right? Or was it July?
officially probably looking in August, and
Yeah.
then signed the lease in September, was supposed to move in October. So like pretty much almost like a half a year before I actually found a place that I really wanted to like settle in. And
That's crazy because I think that takes a lot of trust and ambition to be able to do that and know that that was God's plan for you to move out there, because I feel like anyone else could have been like, I'm not finding anything. As much as I want to live out here, I can't find a place to live. Maybe this isn't right. And definitely start second guessing God's direction. So I think that was very cool on your part to be able to know like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be, and not give up on that search, and just to continue looking. And then it all paid off and you found an even better place than what you'd signed the lease on originally.
yeah, and the crazy thing was I ended up getting a 2-bedroom for cheaper
Yeah.
than the 1-bedroom that I originally signed the lease on. So it was
Wow.
like, thanks God.
Because
Like,
you were
for an extra
patient
bedroom.
and you held out and you were like, no, God's going to be obedient. He's going to get me through this. And you trusted him.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things is when we're going through like these new seasons and we're looking for God's directions, is we get so impatient and we don't want to trust him. We're like, no, he's not fulfilling what I need. He's not giving me an answer. So we just try to take matters into our own hands, which you very well could have in that situation. You could have been like, nope, I'm moving back to Florida.
Yeah, definitely could have done that, or just like settled on something that I didn't really want.
That's true. Yeah, you could have settled and been like, no, God's not going to come through with a good place. Or you could have stayed in the first place.
Could have stayed in the first place. Yeah, I definitely could have, but I was like, nope, definitely not. So
how do you feel now that you've been out there for a while? You've been in LA for what, like 2 years now? Or it's been a while.
Just since January, like, is when I finally moved into this place.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like
I know
a
it
year.
feels like I've been out there for a while because I've been going back and forth for so long. But
That's
yeah,
true, because you used to do the like travel thing out there before you actually moved out there.
But no,
Wow.
this lease was beginning of January of like this past year.
Wow, that's crazy. I thought it was longer.
Yeah, so not even like a full year yet, but it's going really well. I really like my apartment a lot. It's got just a cute bathroom.
I feel like we need to like get pictures from you of your apartment and post like have JR flash them up on the screen.
Flash 'em.
Can you do that, JR? He said yes, I could do anything.
You could do anything.
So we're gonna hold you to that, JR. Do you feel like when you're going through these waves of direction and you're trying to figure out what God wants you to do, because going back to that situation, you could have very easily just gave into something else. Do you have like verses or anything that you kind of go to when you're going through situations like that?
I guess just knowing that God's in control, and just one thing that's been coming up a lot in different things that I read and stuff like that is persistence and diligence. So just being persistent and just pushing on even when you feel like you don't have anything left, right? Because
Yeah.
I was like looking, there was literally some days where I looked at like 9 apartments a day and I'm like, this is insane. Like,
Yeah.
all my time off, I was just looking for an apartment. And sometimes I think just like being persistent and diligent in whatever it is that you're doing, even if you're not seeing results right away, and patience, right?
Yes, patience is huge. And I feel like that's a big one in our society today because, I mean, you see all of these things where people have like immediate gratification on social media and it looks so easy to achieve things now to where it's like, well, I don't want to have to work for that. Like, what
Yeah.
is work, you know? And I think that's one thing I always admired about Heather is that she's always been very persistent. And I feel like you've always known what you want. Like, even when
Maybe
it
a little
comes
too
down,
much.
even when it comes down to food, like I know sometimes if Heather's like, you know, we plan to maybe go get pad thai or something. This is one thing that's always been like really funny for me. And I feel like I'll change my mind. I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm kind of feeling a burger now. And then I'll be like, hey, do you want to go get a burger now? And Heather's like, no, I am like really,
Still want pad
I
thai.
need pad thai from this like specific place. I don't know why I like stuttered there. This specific place. And then like we have to go there because you get like your mind set on it.
I get a craving.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's because you know what you want. And then, like you said, you're able to be persistent and consistent with it, with work or whatever you're doing. And it just kind of keeps you on track.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
And I feel like you've been very persistent with Through the Waves over the years and everything.
It's not been easy, though.
Yeah, but that was like another thing that I wanted to ask. Have you ever told everybody what made you come up with Through the Waves?
I don't know if I've ever come out and said it, but I mean, I would say I've told a little bit about it, right?
Definitely.
But I would say when I moved to Florida, you know, obviously I love sharks and the ocean. I really came into my relationship with Christ. And I remember we were going to Life Church at the time. I think this was when Grandpa was still alive. And we were watching that series with Pastor Craig Groeschel on the good work where he was talking about Nehemiah and building the wall and how all these things tried to stop and come against Nehemiah when he was building this wall. And he had people like threatening to kill him and all this stuff. But God's like, no, you know, keep doing the good work. And I remember Pastor Craig Groeschel saying, I really hope that somebody finds like their direction and their purpose throughout this message. And I think it was like a 4-week series. And I just remember like sitting at work one day, I was working at the law firm still. And I just got this thought that ran through my mind, or obviously God, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like through the waves, like God carries me and everyone else through the waves that they go through. And I was like, wow, like, whoa, I just had this big epiphany. And I'm like, I can share, you know, my love for the ocean and my love for God and this business. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I remember Adam and Callie, they're the people who do our shirts. Shout out to A&C Custom Creation.
Woo.
They had just got like a $45,000, I think that's how much they said it was. I could be exaggerating. T-shirt printer that same week.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, this is insane. I'm going to start selling T-shirts. And then I started doing beach cleanups and then just like donating to what I would sell of the T-shirts. And I was just like on this roll of cleanups and T-shirts and trying to do all of these things and didn't really know what it was. And I feel like I've definitely had my waves with Through the Waves where, the enemy will try to discourage me with what I feel like God has given me to use as a gift to help other people. And that's one thing that's very important to be aware of. When you have a purpose and you know your purpose, don't give up, like keep going. And you really, really, really have to press into God, because there's so many times where I'm like, this is stupid. I'm not helping anyone. I have my own mental things that I'm going through. And it's like, but those are those moments where you need to stop and think like, I can use this to help somebody else. Everything that we go through in life, we can use to help somebody else, like, me being overweight and experiencing that and just using our struggles to help other people. And that's the goal of Through the Waves, where we got this idea to start this podcast up. Definitely. Because it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about using our journey that we go through and our gifts that God gives us to help everyone out there that don't even realize they need help, maybe,
For sure. And I just wanted to say I admire you for your persistence and your diligence.
Oh, thank you.
With sticking with it and see how far you've come and all these podcasts that you've been putting out recently and everything. It's great.
Thank you. And I admire Heather with everything that she does. Like, this is just like a little like love session right here.
Love session. Cousins.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's so good to encourage the people in your life, because, you never know what somebody is going through too. Mm-hmm. And it is hard, even for you, like talking about wholeness with Heather and trying to start a new journey. I think anytime somebody has change in their life too, like that's tough. I think it was Pastor Stephen Furtick who said, even if it's good change is traumatic because it's change. Nobody likes change. I know me, when change happens, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
Yeah.
So I think it's good when you see somebody doing something good to encourage them and just, help them to keep going with it.
For sure. Definitely. Yeah. So good job.
Oh,
you're killing it.
Good job to you. So what are you feeling now? Because you're in LA and you're doing nursing. I know nursing is hard because you mainly work in the ICU.
Yeah.
And you experience a lot of things. And I remember you saying that's been hard too, like just working in the ICU and experiencing certain things. Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah. So I feel like I do pretty well with journaling and stuff like that. So it's a little nerdy, but I feed a hummingbird.
It's not nerdy at all.
In LA. And
does it like live outside your window?
I just put
really relaxing.
Huh?
I feel like that's like really relaxing.
It is. Yeah. I just put a feeder out there one day, and then I had, I call him Herb for short. And so I just put a feeder out there, and then I saw, because right when I moved in, I saw that there was hummingbirds right by the bamboo that was right out there. Mm-hmm. So right away I was like, I need a feeder, because I love hummingbirds. I swear that's probably got a hummingbird feeder before I got a couch.
It's the essentials though. I mean, it's good for your mental.
Seriously, mental health is
important.
The most important. So, so I like to open up my window, and then Herbert likes to come by, and I always like to sit there at the golden hour.
Aw. How do you know it's Herbert though? How do you know it's not a different bird? Or do you just like...
It could be.
Oh, okay. It could be Herbert number 1, Herbert number 2, but we're going to say it's all Herbert.
No promises. But one thing that I will say is that I saw the same... It looks like the same bird. I mean, I'm also like a little far from it. Like when I'm in my... So there was always a bird that would hang out on the telephone wire.
Okay. Kind of by himself.
All by himself.
Huh.
He would always just hang out there. And then I eventually saw that my hummingbird food was going lower, and I was like, okay, maybe it's the wind and it's like knocking it over and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But then I was like, no, maybe it could be my bird. So then I don't remember. Eventually I saw Herbert at the feeder. And then I thought that was really cool because I was like, oh, cool. I just like, now I have a pet bird essentially because I feed him regularly. I started actually making my own hummingbird food because it's just water and sugar. And
Oh,
I feel like it's maybe better for the bird than like the store-bought
like
stuff.
more natural.
Yeah. So I started doing that. And then he did actually one day, I was literally telling someone, I was like, I think it's the same bird all the time, but I don't know. And then one day I looked out and there was 3 birds on the telephone
Yikes.
wire.
So
And I was like,
might not be Herbert every time.
Herbert is now bringing dates
Oh my
to
gosh. Maybe Herbert has like sister wives.
sister wives.
Maybe he has like 3 different wives.
Maybe.
We're really assuming a lot.
A lot about this bird, yeah. But now it's only one bird again. Sometimes there will be a second one that like flies through, but that's why I think that like it's mainly just one.
Wow.
But it's kind of cool. So anyways, all that to say, I have a little self journal and I'll go there during the golden hour and I'll like write in it.
Aw.
We're not really strangers. They have like a lot of things to just help people and it helps you learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Or I'll take baths.
Yeah.
In
Just
my
like
little-
relax, you know, and make it like nice and cozy.
Yeah, so I feel like that's kind of how I
Decompress from
decompress.
the stress from work and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, going back to Herbert really quick, I got this epiphany here. You know, Herbert and you is kind of like our relationship with God, I feel like. You know, you were giving. You said Herbert was on the cord, right, at 1st. And then eventually he warmed up to the food.
Yeah.
That was always there for him. But at first he was a little kind of sketched out by it.
That's good.
And I feel like that's kind of like our relationship with God sometimes. Like he's always there, like willing to help us, willing to give us things. But it's really our job to, you know, make that step, make that little, I don't even
Definitely.
know. Bird, what do birds do? Do they waddle?
Fly.
Fly. Take that first leap, you know?
The first flight.
Yeah. And then it's crazy though, like thinking about Herbert and
Love my bird.
and how you said he started to bring friends, and it's like that's what we can do in our lives with our relationship with Christ, right? Like we can be that light.
Yeah.
And like Herbert was like, no, guys, like it's cool. Like this isn't dangerous. You know, like come on over.
Yeah.
And like I just started to think like we can be that for Christ in our life. Like we can be the example and we can show people it's not a bad thing to be a Christian. It's actually a great thing to be a Christian, and it's great to have a relationship with God and bring our friends on over like Herbert did.
Yeah, I love that so much. And it's funny that you say that, not to keep talking about the bird. But so when I first would sit there, he would fly right away. He would see me and he'd fly right away because he was scared.
Yeah.
And now he's gotten more comfortable with me to where he'll actually sit there and eat while I'm sitting right there. And I'm maybe like, he's like 2 feet from my face. So he's literally right there.
Wow.
And so it's cool that he comes that close and that he's now become that comfortable, right? So just like you were saying, sometimes it might be that people have to become more comfortable with God's presence, and because it's a powerful presence, right? So
Yeah. And I think
yeah.
at first it can be scary too, like just how it was, you know, you don't know, like, especially if you don't know anything about God, and like, he's like this being in the sky that's, you know, above everything. And it might seem kind of scary at first, but it's like the more and more you get to know him, like the more and more Herbert got to know you,
Exactly.
you develop this relationship and experience that love. And you're like, no, like this isn't scary.
Exactly.
This is amazing.
Yeah,
know?
so it's great.
Wow.
And then, yeah, I also wanted to mention debriefing the front lines because that was kind of where I started my mental health journey, I feel like. I did a couple sessions with Casey, and they were really good. And yeah, they're a really, really good resource for mental health for nurses. Because one thing about nursing is we see people die, right? And
Yeah.
they expect you to move on. They expect you to, they'll literally say, like, something happens and then you get another patient in that room and you have to do like postmortem care and stuff like that. But they never really sit there and help you process those feelings that came up when that happened. So it's been a lot, especially starting it when I was only like 22, I think is when I became a nurse. I don't know. But thankfully, like my hospital now, they have a lot of resources for us. They help us feel very well supported, whereas a lot of these places don't support the nurses. So that's why we need people like Debriefing the Front Lines and stuff like that to
Definitely.
help.
We'll have to, is that like their name? We'll have to have JR put their tag on the bottom.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, and I don't think that's something people think about, and I think it's something that we take for granted as people who work in the medical field too, not even just like during COVID, but in general, like you're experiencing deaths and you're having to be with these families when, you know, like their loved ones pass away, and that's something that's just tough to experience, you know, like just seeing all of that like every day, you know, something that people who maybe work in an office or wherever don't experience like you guys experience, you know?
For sure. Yeah, it's heavy. I know a lot of nurses were having like sometimes half the unit would die in a day. Thankfully, that didn't happen at the hospitals I was working at. Never saw it that bad, but some of like the lower hospitals, they were literally losing half the unit in a day. And those nurses were really having a hard time, like insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think people realize too, it's not like you're just watching people who maybe are like older and, you know, it's like, okay, this is life. It's like you're seeing people who are younger, you know, pass away from drug overdose or maybe like an accident. And it's just, it really is such a hard job to do. And I just think that it's so amazing that you're able to do it because I can't even look at blood. I mean, Heather was literally there with me when I passed out at a doctor's office appointment.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was the weirdest experience of my life. I remember just sitting there feeling really, really hot. And then all of a sudden I hear ringing and it's black. And I just hear Heather going, Sarah, Sarah, Sarah.
Yeah, that was scary. Very scary.
That was the weirdest thing of my life.
But you're okay now.
Yeah. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
So do you feel like now that you're settled in LA and you've been there a while, do you still feel like you're facing these waves of direction because you are wanting to start kind of like this new venture with Wholeness with Heather? And do you plan on staying there? Like, how do you feel about that? Do you plan on staying in LA when most of your family lives in Florida? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I feel like direction's constantly evolving because God's always speaking to us in some way. And I do feel like I'm still meant to be in LA for some time. I feel like it's not easier, but more of a better environment for me to like start a coaching business and stuff. So, so that's going well. And there was a sermon that I listened to at the church that I've been going to most recently. And he talks about how every single season is going to have a storm, right? So how we really have to embrace our current season because he's like, we always are looking for that next best thing. Like, okay, like life is going to get better when I have a new job. Life is going to get better when I get into this relationship or when I do X, Y, and Z. And the reality of it is like, yeah, you might think that it's going to get better. And in some ways it will, but you're probably also going to have another storm in that season. So really just like embracing the here and now and getting through it like that. So did that answer your question?
Yeah. And I think you face different types of waves and storms in each season. And I mean, I remember just even certain things that I went through when I was single are different things that I go through now being married. And it's like, you think that, oh, once I find this person, like I'm not going to have any issues because I'm going to be with the love of my life. And I am with the love of my life. And, you know, we have a great marriage, but there's also different things or lies the enemy tries to chirp in our ear when we're in a good relationship because he hates the fact that you have a good relationship. So I think like you said, embracing the season you're in with whatever challenges you may experience, because each season is going to have its own challenge, like you said.
Exactly.
And what do you feel like, speaking of challenges, are the biggest challenges with direction or just in general that you're dealing with right now?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I got distracted. It's the Citizens app. It's always like
Oh.
giving weird things.
Oh, yeah, that's the one about LA, like people.
Yeah, but no, they have it here in Florida too. They do
Oh.
have it in Florida as well. And it just popped up when I was looking at this. So what was the question exactly?
What do you feel like are your biggest challenges right now that you're facing, or challenges with direction, or just like in general?
I think right now, well, so I felt like I had clarity recently. The other day, I always get like my God thoughts at like 4:00 in the morning. It's like I wake up and I have all these rushing ideas and I just want to like type them out and write them down.
In the
So
middle of the night?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that happened the other day, and it was kind of like, I guess I was wanting to take my direction with Wholeness with Heather, kind of helping people to like find their purpose and like what fuels them and what keeps them up at night, and like what are
Very
they
cool.
so passionate about that like really
That's like deep inside of them that they want to get
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
because I feel like those are things that God puts in us for a reason, right? I think God gives us these dreams and these different ideas for different reasons. And so it was really cool because the pastor, like maybe a week or so after I had that wake up in the middle of the night thing, he started talking about it was reclaiming your intentions. And in the passage, he was like, what fuels you? Like, what
Wow.
keeps you up at night? And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's literally what I was just thinking of for
Yeah.
Wholeness with Heather. And so it was kind of cool because I feel like that was like kind of
Yeah.
clarity and direction of
Yeah.
it's still a little vague. I still want to get more specific with it.
So
But
you feel like that's your biggest challenge right now, is just trying to kind of like hone in on that and how to really
oh, for sure.
do that with Wholeness with Heather.
Yeah, trying to find my niche.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, especially when you get this idea, like even with Through the Waves, and you also sometimes you get an idea and you don't know how to like, what's the word that I'm looking for? You don't know how to put that idea into place, you know, and it's just like taking those small steps,
Definitely.
and kind of like working towards them. And I think as you keep going with it and you keep working at it, like you'll find ways to make that happen, that goal.
Persistence.
Persistence pays, right?
It does.
Wow.
Yeah. And then another thing that like really resonated from me from like another sermon was because sometimes like when we're in these challenging situations, it's like, well, which way do I go, right? And so in this sermon in particular, it's Philippians 4:8, which I'm going to pull it up so that I don't mess it up, because otherwise I will. Hold on.
I mess them all up all the time.
Every time. All right, Philippians. Let's get there. Sorry for the delay.
You're getting there.
4:8. Okay, so it says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. So I think when we're having these challenges with which way to go, pull up that verse, say, does it align with this?
Yeah,
And if it does, then move forward.
that's really good. That is actually one of the verses that I wrote down to read if I'm like having anxiety or something along those lines, because it's one of those good verses that you can go back to and have peace and say like, okay, this is what God says.
For sure. I love it.
I mean, the whole Bible is good, but there's also parts of the Bible where it's like a story or a war, and it's like, well, this isn't really going to help me today.
Sticks out. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that so much. What would you say? kind of wrapping up here, is your favorite part about God's love?
I would say just that it's accessible wherever you are, right? So you could be on a mountaintop, you could be in the desert, you could be really anywhere in the world, and God's always there, right?
Yeah.
So just easy access, and yeah, you can pray anytime you want. You can pray for peace.
Yeah.
You can,
When you feel like you're alone, you're actually not alone.
exactly.
God is there with you all the time. And another thing I like to ask people, do you have like a book of the Bible that's your favorite, or like a character in the Bible that you feel like you kind of identify with?
Ooh,
Some people don't. I mean, I like to ask this. I think,
I like that.
yeah, because I mean, every character in the Bible has a different story, right? And a different journey. And so I think it's always cool to hear what people say. Like, I think Tim said Luke. Did he say Luke last time? Or no, he said Peter last time. Shout out to Tim. But it's cool to hear everyone's different person that they kind of can relate to, because everyone is so different.
Yeah, I don't know if I relate to any of them.
Or anyone that kind of stands out specific in like their story that you think is encouraging. If not, it's okay. I kind of put you on the spot.
I would have to think about that more.
Yeah, but thank you so much for being here today.
Of course.
And sharing everything and talking about direction. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to share or encourage somebody?
Let's see. I think I just wanted to say a little something. We forgot to bring up Surrender.
Oh, yes. Bring it up.
Well, just that's what Grandpa used to call us, because it's Sarah and Heather together.
Yeah, I remember one time we were at, going back to our grandpa, he is like our favorite guy. We were at, I think, like breakfast with him one time, and he just randomly is like, hey, Surrender. And we're like, who is Surrender? And he's like, that's you guys put together. And we're like, oh, we didn't know that we were one.
I know.
We should just call this episode Surrender.
Yeah, you
Surrender
might as well.
or whatever.
Surrender or whatever. Yeah, so pretty much just keep on pushing on and staying persistent towards the life you want, because one day it's going to pay off.
I like that. I think I personally want to call this persistence pays off, or persistence and diligence. But
like it.
What we've been doing, and I forgot to grab this. Will you grab the sticky notes, JR? We've been having everyone who comes on write something encouraging and just stick it on the wall. And then if Ronald eats it, which for those of you who haven't seen our episodes before, Ronald is our dog, and he is about to be banned from the podcast room forever. He's eaten about 5 sticky notes off the wall. I put him higher and he just jumps up there and gets them. So if you want to write something that's inspiring or encouraging, and then just go ahead and slap it on there, and I'll have to move it. And if Ronald eats it, I'll rewrite it. And we're riding. Ooh, I like it. Go ahead and read it.
It says persistence is key.
Persistence is key, and that's what we're going to call this episode.
Or wait, what did you just say, though? You said something different, and I liked it more.
I said persistence pays, maybe? Persistence and diligence? Either way, it's all the same.
You can go back to it. It's in there somewhere.
But thanks so much for being on here.
Of course.
And I'm sure you'll see Heather in the future for another episode. And check out her page, Wholeness with Heather, on Instagram. And do you have a website too?
Yeah, wholenesswithheather.com.
Wholenesswithheather.com, and hit her up for some coaching. It's great, and she's really helpful, and she'll get on you, you know? Like I said, she mailed me sticky notes.
Do it.
But thanks for joining, and Surrender's checking off. Have a great day, guys. Bye.